Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very excited to have with me Rosie Zilinskas. And let me tell you about Rosie. She is the founder of No Woman Left Behind. In 2021, she established this organization to elevate women in the world through education, mentorship, and community. They provide a one-on-one coaching program, career and leadership development courses, a podcast, and free educational resources that inspire and guide women to unlock the leader within and create a career and life they love. If you're a corporate woman feeling stuck in your career, this episode is for you. Our guest today, Rosie, is 30-year corporate veteran, and she's here to reveal powerful principles to help you unlock your leadership potential and advance in your career. Her mission is clear: eradicate the gender gap by empowering women in their careers. So we're going to talk about a topic that I love to talk about. This is my passion in life, to talk about leadership. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to delve into all the things that could help you grow as a leader. So today, please join me in welcoming my guest, Rosie Zilinskas. Rosie, I love to talk about leadership, and I love the things that we're going to kind of delve on today. Normally, I focus on entrepreneurs, but there are so many people out there in the corporate world that are lacking guidance, mentorship. It's especially after the pandemic, there's so much of the, pedal to the metal and focus on bottom line, and they forget about the most important asset of their business, and that's the people. And you can't build leaders if you don't grow them and enrich them. So I'm looking forward to you sharing your insights. But before we do, I always ask two easy questions. First, tell everybody, where do you live? Where do you call home right now?
Oh, I am in the Chicagoland area. I'm in the southwest suburb, which is Orland Park. And actually, a few days ago, you interviewed Connor Canine, who's in Naperville, who's like 25 minutes from here. Yeah. Connor and I are both Toastmasters. I know you're a Toastmaster, and we're both in National Speakers Association. So yeah, in Chicagoland area.
Yeah, and I'm a retiree from UPS, and we have a big facility in that area.
Yeah.
I spent some time training as a young supervisor. I spent 3 weeks in the Chicago area training to be a manager, a supervisor. And there was a touch of leadership in that. Later found that there was more to it. And we'll delve on that, I'm sure. The second is, I told, what you do today, the wonderful programs that you have established, but I love for you to share this journey, because we don't, usually we don't just get out of high school and think, this is what I'm going to do, and then we go for it. We usually have a lot of pivots and changes in our journey, our path. So talk about the things that really informed you to do what you do today.
Right. Well, like as you said, Vicky, it's a journey. I can't expect people to, especially young people that are coming out of college. I think a lot of times we as parents, because I have a couple of young adults now, we always think, oh, you're going to go to college and you're going to be fine. But we never coach people that are entering the workforce on, okay, what do you do next? How do you get to the next step? And the reason I do the work that I do today is because I found myself at 40 years old and I was stuck in my career and I was doing all the things. I was training and I was backing up my manager. I was doing process improvements, all that stuff. And I was sitting in my desk and I'm thinking, any day now someone is going to notice my hard work,
Yes.
but nobody ever did. And I saw a couple of younger people that had come in after me that were getting promoted. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So finally, I kind of woke up and had the courage to go talk to an executive. I said, hey, I'd really like to be considered for management. And he said, oh, really? And I was like, what do you mean, oh, really? I'm doing all these things. And he said, well, you never said anything. And Vicki, that was a turning point in my life because
Mhm.
based on that, a few months later, I got promoted into a regional underwriting manager. And then I already knew that I needed to do things differently when I got that promotion. So about 3 years in, when I was really settled and I knew what I was doing and I had pretty much learned everything that I could, then I started what I say is I started campaigning for me. And that was a game changer. And so everything that I teach now are things that I did in my career. And I just started laying out a path. I started doing all of these action items that are now part of what I call the custom career roadmap. But it's the it's the campaigning for yourself.
Yeah.
And the two components of that is doing it with intention while building confidence. And that's the biggest key. There's so many women that I talk to that want to go out there and self-advocate for themselves, but they don't have the confidence. So the question is, Rosie, can you help me build confidence? And I'm like, well, I can help you prepare. And that is what builds the confidence. So that's why
Mhm.
I'm really passionate about myself. And by the way, when I was 40, I had just exited an almost 4-year divorce. So the reason why I needed to make more money is because I had two little people that I was
Wow.
now solely financially responsible for, and I needed to do something because I was alone now, and
Mm.
that lit a fire under me,
Yeah.
and that started my whole trajectory, and here I am today.
So many stories, similar stories we hear as we go through coaching all the time. And the interesting thing, as you said, you about self-advocating and nobody noticing. And I think, a lot of people out there are afraid to step up. A guy would tell everyone how great they are, even if they weren't. And women, we forget to do that. But I think where it shows so much where we're lacking great leaders in organizations is those people that are managers that don't do anything but manage. A leader will be looking at all of their people and thinking, what if I worked with that person? And having those conversations. I remember the reason I went into management was I was working for the CIO of UPS, and he brought me in, and I expressed curiosity to him, and I was so impressed with his style and what he knew, and just wanted to know more. And so con- casual conversations led to him understanding that there was more in me than I knew. And he actually shoved in front of me the paperwork to become a supervisor and said, sign here, you're going to do this. And I had no choice. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it not only taught me that I should go for things, believe in myself, but also that as I see people around me with gifts and skills, I should do all I can to mentor them and bring them up and help them. And I think
Mhm.
that's where we're lacking, having more people not just caring about themselves and their own career, but how can I help those around me? Because that helps the organization.
Absolutely. Vicki, I agree with everything that you said. However, the challenge is that the middle managers that want to lead and want to develop their people, they don't have the bandwidth to do
Oh,
that
I know. Oh, I
because
agree.
yeah, absolutely. I know you have a long career in corporate, as do I, but you're in that sandwich where you're taking direction from the upper or senior leadership and then you're leading a team, but you still have your work to do. You're still trying to meet all those key performance indicators. And then you don't have time to develop the people, and the people themselves don't have time to work on their career. And so that's why I always feel that they should make a chief coaching, position for every single corporation, because there should be somebody available there 24 hours a day, or I'm sorry, 5 days a week, so that people are able to schedule, and that's all you do is coach. And the more corporations understand that they can't leave that very important duty to middle
Mm.
management, the more they're able to not only promote, but warm up that bench strength, because so many companies are losing the good people and now they don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
people to succeed into true leadership, senior leadership positions. So, I mean, it's
Hmm.
just, if you're not really intentional on how you're managing your people, to your point, then it's
Yeah.
going to be a futile thing.
And, that's why after retirement, I do what I do because I just saw that there was just this huge gap. And, even though I'm gone from UPS, I have at 5 Toastmaster groups and I use that as a coaching bench for them.
Oh my
And
gosh, I love
and
that.
some of the Toastmasters, some of the employees actually have worked with me on the side. But it's that's what you need. It's like if you can't find it where you are, then find it somewhere.
Exactly.
If the company isn't going to build that position, then find us. We're out there to help you. We've got the
Absolutely.
T-shirt.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what happened to me in 2019. My kids were already in high school, so they were doing their own thing. They didn't really need me as much. And I was like, I know I have a lot of knowledge to give. So I started volunteering at Dress for Success. It's an organization
Yes.
that does coaching and then helps women that are, of lower means to get an
Right.
outfit for interviews. And if they get the job, they'll get
Mhm.
a week's worth of clothing. And I was coaching those women. And then I got smart and I was like, I joined Toastmasters in September of 2019. I joined National Speakers
Um,
Association. So, to your point, if you're not getting that knowledge and that education within your corporation, which again, a lot of corporations have really good intention, but they don't have the time or the bandwidth. So then you have to go look for it out there.
yeah. So whenever you talk about blind spots in the career, explain to us what you envision that as being.
Yeah. So a blind spot is obviously we can't see ourselves the way other people in the world see
Yeah.
us. And so a lot of times you think that you're doing this great job, right? But you may be coming across as, I mean, I know people that they have that resting bee face, and they don't even know or realize it, or they're coming across as very brusque. So the way that I tell my clients to start uncovering their blind spots is to say, hey, you know what? Reach out to 3 or 5 people that you know and trust that you've worked with, and say, you know what? I'm trying to work on my personal and professional development. I would like to ask you a couple of questions, but here's the trick. I tell my clients, you have to give them permission to be really honest, because
Mm.
fluffy feedback is not going to help you. So you ask them 2 questions. What do I do well? And what can I do better? And the things that they tell you to do well, you keep doing those, but you focus on the things that they tell you you can do better. And again, if you give them permission to be honest, that's the key there. Because if you tell me what I do, what I can do better, I'd be like, oh crap, do I do I actually tell you? Or but giving them that permission makes a big difference. And you can do that exercise with your family. You can do that exercise with former coworkers, but definitely people that you have worked with so that you can start figuring out how do other people see you that you don't see yourself. And that's where you start uncovering those blind spots.
I know throughout my career, I've had done the 360, and we have it at Toastmasters. We do that even as I'm running for international director, and I had to have a 360 from people all around the world, and it does give you great insight, but not everybody knows you, works with you, and sometimes they make assumptions. So I love that you kept it simple. What do you do well? And and it could be that they say things that they don't think you do, that perhaps you're not doing it boldly enough, or it's not made aware of them that you do all those things. So again, it's being able to promote yourself, and
Right.
to, in a way that's not boastful, but it's just, as you work it into conversations of things about your experience and what you've done. I mean, I'm 67 years old. I've done a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
and and there are people that knew me in my 20s that if they saw me now, they wouldn't have, their thoughts of me would be very different than who I am today, because I was a different person then.
Right. I will say that I do warn my clients and tell them that they have to be emotionally prepared to receive that
Yeah.
feedback, because a lot of times if you hear negative things, you need to kind of arm yourself with yep, I'm just going to accept this and it's going to be, whatever it is. And so you have to be prepared to receive negative feedback and understand that it could be something that you're going to work on, but
Yeah.
not necessarily the truth 100%. So
So now that we're more self-aware, how important is it to have that career roadmap that you promote so highly?
yeah, so the custom career roadmap, and again, the reason why I created the custom career
Hmm.
roadmap is because I saw all the things that I needed to do to get to where I got to. And so uh, and I guess I'll kind of back up a little bit. When I went to apply to an executive vice president position, I was not the smartest person, but I was the most prepared person. And that was the big difference with the custom career roadmap. So the custom career roadmap is basically a four-phase process. The first one is what do you aspire to do? What is it that you're trying to do in your
Hmm.
career? What are your goals? The second piece, which I think is the heaviest piece of the program, is assessing your skills, all the way from the resume, the LinkedIn, all of your core values, your personal value proposition, all of those components that go into that assess
Hmm.
phase. Then you have the advice phase, which is part of uncovering your blind spots as part of that, and also talking to senior leaders and asking them, hey, how did you get to where you are? What advice can you give me? So that's the advice piece. And then the fourth phase is that advertise piece where I went wrong. I did all the other things, but I didn't tell people that I was interested
Yeah.
in advancing into management. So advertising is networking, telling people, hey, I'm interested in advancing in my career. A lot of conversations with senior leaders. This is where you want to get your sponsors and your advocates. And
Yeah.
so that four-phase process, it probably took me a good 6 months to get everything in place. But I was going hard because I had a goal in mind to become executive vice president. And so I was going really hard. But if you just do like 1 or 2 hours a month, you by the end, and let's just say you're happy in your job that you do right now. My phrase is, I want you to be promotion ready. So at the end of the year, if you start in January or wherever we're today, we're in April. So if you start now, by next April, I can guarantee you that you will be promotion ready if you start working on all of these components a little bit at a time to get you ready. And the here's the clincher. A lot of times people have an opportunity and then they're scrambling because they have to create their resume and they have to update their LinkedIn and
Right.
do all these things. And the point is to not have to be in that position. When that opportunity falls in your lap, you're like, oh, great. I already have my resume. I already have my personal value proposition, the story vault, the 90-day plan. A lot of interviewing skills are really key and really important. And it's funny because I always tell people, so many people spend so much time on the resume. And I'm like, pay a professional resume writer to write your resume. Let them do the heavy lift and let them showcase you like a rock star. And then I would rather you spend time on your interviewing skills because the resume is one tiny piece of the entire
Absolutely.
process. So
Oh,
that's a
so
little bit about the
true.
custom career roadmap.
That is so true. I always tell people whenever I'm coaching on that is, when I interview people, I spent more time learning about their character and their behavior and things that I can't change. That, I can teach you anything on that resume, most likely, or find someone that can. And I love that you said that you were not the smartest person. One of my mentors early on said that he, well, it was the CIO. He says, I'm not the smartest person. I hire smart people.
Mhm.
And that's,
Absolutely.
so it's just so important that we remember that. And the other thing you talked about was the advocates and the champions. And I think that's great. And they need to be well respected. And because there will be people that you might have done something years ago and they ask that person and that's all they remember is that one mistake you made or that one immature thing that you did, and you're a different person now. And so you need to have people in your corner right now that know you now, what you've done and the accomplishments that you have. So having those relationship relationship building conversations with those champions, I think is really a key thing.
Right. And then with the mentors, I just want to emphasize that whenever you are working with a mentor, Vicki, it really is the mentee's responsibility to drive that relationship. You can't, as a mentee, you can't be like, I wonder when my mentor is going to reach out to me. No, you drive the conversation, reach out to them. You have an agenda, be prepared. So don't just kind of, again, it's kind of like us having our career on autopilot. And when
Yeah.
it's an autopilot, who knows where it's going to go. The key here is being intentional with your career.
Yeah. And so perhaps you got that job that and you're in those first days, months. What advice do you give your clients on how they can make the best of that transition time, really going from a worker bee, a operational focus to now really being a manager and hopefully a leader?
Well, so one of the components of the custom career roadmap is to create a 90-day plan that you
Mm.
talk about during the interview. So you start visualizing yourself and picturing yourself in that position way before you even get the position.
Yeah.
And you literally think about, what am I going to do the first 30 days? What am I going to do the next month and then the third month? And that way it starts priming your brain to step into that position and not be like, oh crap, I got the position. Now what do I do? And that 90-day plan it's a huge golden little nugget that I tell my clients to do, because in the interview you want to listen actively and I always tell people the interview is, yes, they're learning about you, but this is your time to showcase how you can help them solve their problem.
Yeah.
So every time you create one of your stories from your story vault, which is essentially your accomplishments in a story format, and they say something, you're like, oh, you know what? I helped solve that same problem at this company. And so you're
Good
trying
job.
to align how you can help them and assist them. But and then once the interview is done and you kind of talk about the 90-day plan, hey, you know what? I've been so excited. I've been thinking about what I would do if I were to be selected as the candidate, and I have a 90-day plan in place. And then the rule of thumb is send a thank you note within 24 hours. But any components, any little nuggets that you got from the conversation, you can edit in your 90-day plan. And then you send your thank you note, you attach your like beautifully formatted 90-day plan, edited and updated. And that's a really big way to differentiate yourself from everybody else. And you start thinking
Mhm.
about what you would do if you do get the
Yeah.
job. You already have a plan in place.
The other piece, I guess, in interviewing too, is don't be afraid to ask questions of the interviewer because it
Exactly.
really, I think, makes a big impression too. So you talked about the promotion readiness checklist, the story vaults. Uh, what are some of the challenges that you feel leaders would have in those maybe first 90 days? But let's even take it back that you don't have the job yet. What are some of the challenges you have? Thinking self doubts,
Mhm. Yeah.
all those things.
So I always start with mindset first. So and it's kind of when I do my signature talk, for example, because I'm a keynote speaker and I talk about the three saboteurs of your career.
Oh, yeah.
And the first one is absolutely the fact that, or you think that it's a fact that you're not deserving or worthy. And
Yeah.
that's where you're either discounting yourself, you're disqualifying yourself, or you're defeating yourself. So I kind of go through those three characteristics of you're you want to apply for a job, but you don't have all the job requirements and you just don't apply. So you're already disqualifying yourself before anybody else, disqualifies you.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, like not believing that you're deserving. The second one is that you're operating with a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset. And then the third one is having that focus strategy, which becomes that custom career roadmap. So those three components
Mm,
together will really help you set up for a better way of thinking about yourself and challenging your thoughts.
yeah.
Sometimes we think that everything we think about ourselves is true, and challenge your thoughts. Ask yourself, is that really true that I don't deserve a good career? Is that really true
Yeah.
that they're never going to hire me? So, and that's where your mentor or a coach, I do high performance coaching. Everything in that program is mindset, and we literally start peeling back the onion. And sometimes I just had a client say, oh, my little job. And I'm like, oh, hold on. Why did you say little job? And they're like, oh, I didn't even realize that I did it. So you're discounting the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And Vicki, we don't even realize that we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle right there, the awareness of our thoughts.
So, so very true. Well, time has flown by, and it's been such a great conversation we had. You gave so many wonderful tips, and I'm sure that the audience would like to see how they can get in touch with you. So, as always, I have a slide that I will share with the audience. If you're just listening, you know that I will read the information. But if you are able to, you can go to my YouTube channel at any time, Vicki Noethling. So please subscribe, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website. So the website is nowomanleftbehind.com. Again, nowomanleftbehind.com. On Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, you can go to Rosie Career Coaching. YouTube, Pinterest, and TikTok, you can go to at Rosie Career Coaching. And X, she's at R, like for Rosie, R Career Coaching. Right. I'm going to turn it over to Rosie. She's going to talk to you about all the things that she has on the website, as well as where she spends the most time in social media, which she puts out there on her YouTube channel that might interest you, and about her promotion readiness checklist. So, Rosie, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vicki. So my website is, again, No Woman Left Behind. That's WOMAN. But on there, the very first thing that you're going to see is a link to my membership. My membership is a very affordable way to get access to the custom career roadmap. And other than that, I spend the majority of my time on LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube. So lots of videos. I have a podcast as well, also called No Woman Left Behind. So there's tons of information in there. And I talk about women advancing in their careers with intention while building confidence. So that's a little bit about, there's also a blog on my website. So there's a lot of information on there. So thank you, Vicki, for that.
Awesome. Rosie, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning to chat about a very important topic, especially now. I think post-COVID, there is just such a huge gap in being able to promote yourself, your careers, and be noticed. And I love that you talk about standing up and empowering yourself to go ahead and let everybody know that of your intentions and go for it. I think that's so important. Just go for it.
Yes, absolutely. And if anybody wants to have a conversation, they could go to my website, fill out the contact form, and then we can have a 30-minute virtual chat. It's a no sales zone, so it's just how can I help? So thank you so much, Vicki. This has been wonderful.
Awesome. As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.